Hi, good afternoon. Welcome everyone to the second episode of The Focus. I say second episode, we had a preview show, which was a quick 15 minutes 2 weeks ago. And we had a Facebook Live show last week, but this is the very first show that we've done from the studio, or my office, if you like. You may see on my left-hand side, the very wonderful Sarah Wixon and Jenna Keating from PIE Recruitment. Thanks very much for joining us, ladies.
No problem.
No problem. Thank you for having us.
Excellent. So in terms of what to expect for the show, what I'm very conscious of is that in the first show, we don't cover everything about video and recruitment. For the next weeks and weeks to come, we're going to be using those times to get into other elements of video and recruitment. What you can do to get ready, which we're going to be talking about today for video and recruitment, and how you can then expand your usage of video and recruitment, how you can measure success, what works for you, what will work for some companies, not for other organizations, what might work for recruitment agencies. Obviously, PIE Recruitment is a recruitment agency who use video very consistently and solidly for the past few years. It really, not so much it defines who they are, but it helps to explain who they are as an organization. And again, as we go along, we'll get into more detail about the different aspects of how video can be used in the recruitment, hiring, training, onboarding, engagement process. So all of those things are part and parcel of what we're going to be doing. So first of all, thank you very much to everyone who's joined us here today. If you're joining us live, then you can click on the links on the side. So you can click on the chat on the side to ask any questions that you have. Please do. Anything at all, we'll try and get to it straight away. If you're watching on the recorded version, then obviously the questions you won't be able to chip in too, but please like and share the video that you see here and share that with any of your friends and colleagues, and hopefully it's going to be useful to them as well. So in terms of the content for the show today, obviously we've got Sarah and Jenna joining us. Sarah is director with PIE Recruitment. PIE Recruitment are multiple winners at the National Online Recruitment Awards and multiple nominees and finalists. Hi, Sarah.
Hi, how you doing?
Getting your audio there. And Jenna has recently joined. Jenna's the marketing. Let me just get this right. So your title is exactly, Jenna?
Marketing manager.
I was going to say marketing manager, but just in case, you know, these days when people have all sorts of crazy titles, and if you say the wrong one, then you're gonna make a mess of it. So my apologies.
Don't
but
worry.
Jenna, so Jenna has recently joined with PIE, and I know Jenna has a lot of experience of recording, filming, editing, and using video in your previous career. So you're coming with that, and also. It's an organization where video is at the top of the marketing tree in terms of content that's going out there. So can I ask a few questions just about how PIE Recruitment uses and deploys video? Sarah, can I ask you one question before we go on to Jenna? So obviously, video is central to a lot of things that you do at PIE. In the early stages, when you decided to use video at the forefront of what the organization is about, what was the decision-making process and why did you do it?
It was when we started PIE as a business, we obviously wanted to get in front of as many people as humanly possible. Obviously, PIE was a startup. We weren't known in recruitment circles, although a lot of us did have sort of fairly extensive backgrounds within the recruitment industry. So we knew a lot of recruitment bods, if you like. Video seemed to us to be the quickest and most effective way of getting our message out to people as fast as possible. Mm-hmm. In the very early days, we didn't really know what we were doing, if I'm honest with you. So it's very much a case of we putting PowerPoint presentations together and then just turning those into videos and putting them out there with sort of little flashing crosses where jobs were going live and things like that. So all very experimental, but it was good fun. And we very quickly then moved on to doing sort of more live videos with people talking about the jobs that they're promoting, using it for company events, that kind of stuff. So it really did, it grew fairly quickly, and we haven't looked back.
So you learned in the process of doing it. You wouldn't say that you were perfect at the start, but you learn what worked for you.
No, definitely not. If you look back at our YouTube channel, you will see some truly dreadful things on there going back over the last few years. But as I said, it's all a learning process, and I think we've definitely got better at it as we've gone through. Still not perfect, I'm sure.
I do always say to people that whatever social media channel you use, whether it's Facebook or Twitter or any number of other, but certainly especially on YouTube, you can see the evolution of how a company uses that medium. What they're doing and how they're doing it and how they're narrowing down to what works for them and maybe setting aside the things that were more experimental, but worth having a go, but perhaps weren't spot on for what you were after. So can I ask both of you, what would you say is the PIE philosophy when it comes to producing and deploying video content?
I think for me, the philosophy is very much in line with our strong brand ethos and our tone of voice, which is all about being brassy, energetic, full of beans. And we want that to come across in our videos. We want them to be engaging, want them to be inviting. We want them to stand out. I think one of the things about PIE is when it was born, it was with the mindset of we're going to do things differently. Yes. And back then, nobody was really doing video in recruitment. And that's for us is now what we want to continue doing. Now everyone else is doing it. How can we do it differently? What can we do that is distinctively PIE with video that sets us aside from everyone else?
Mm-hmm. So it was a differentiator at the beginning, and as other companies come to be doing it too, given the experience that you've built up in the archive of content that you have, you were able to use that to produce much more interesting content that's going to be engaging with your audience.
Yeah, absolutely. It's about showcasing personalities at the end of the day. So it's about the recruiters being able to build their own brands, if you like. So putting them in front of the camera, it introduces them to candidate base, it introduces them to a client base. And just it helps them, it makes their jobs easier. So it's all about injecting that personality into absolutely everything that we do. Yeah.
Now, I know that sometimes, despite the fact that recruiters are typically outgoing professional talkers who love to hear the sound of their own voice, I know that there are some recruiters who are just naturally a bit shy as soon as you put them in front of a camera. When you hire new recruiters and you say to them, look, this is part of what we do, what's the response that you typically get?
I don't think we've never had any real issues with it, if I'm honest with you. We don't make them do a screen test as part of the recruitment process. Although possibly we should. Maybe we should, most of them, to be honest with you, are pretty happy. There was possibly a little bit of reticence with some of them very early on when we first started doing some of the job videos, but they've got used to it. It is literally just part of what they do nowadays. So they're quite happy to traipse down and be filmed wherever they need to be filmed.
Excellent. So, Jenna, can I ask what, in terms of video production, we know there's an archive of content on the YouTube channel for PIE. What is the frequency of video being produced from yourselves? How often are you producing a new video and getting it out there?
So obviously I'm only 4 weeks into role at the moment. Previously, you guys have been producing kind of one video a week was the target. It did kind of slow down, and now we've kind of taken a pause and a reset with me coming in. And the goal is to get that back up to once a week. But then again, using a lot of testing, let's try 2 times a week. Let's try once every 2 weeks. Let's see what works best for us. It's the only way that we're really going to know what works with our audience.
Yeah, is the willingness of recruiters to record videos frequently, is that a factor? Are some recruiters keener than others to be recording more often?
There are definitely some that really enjoy being in front of the camera. Some that are just kind of natural performers. And to be honest, I haven't really come across the situation where somebody's like, I really don't want to do this. I think they know for them it is, I'm very much driving them on raising their personal profile. And, that's one of the best ways for them to be able to do that. So I think they see it as, something that's just going to make them more money. It's going to make them more successful. It's going to build better relationships. And that's what I really push with them. So we don't really get much pushback from them on it.
Fantastic. I agree absolutely that if you can differentiate your firm from others by demonstrating your expertise and the expertise of your individual recruiters, then it's great for their personal profile. It's great for their personal brand. But of course, it also locks them into the PIE brand because they're synonymous one with the other. And I would expect that it means that recruiters are more loyal to PIE because they feel more part of the organization.
Yeah, and we're quite, we work with them on understanding the tone of voice and what is the personality of PIE. Because what we want to make sure is that everyone has a consistent experience with PIE. It's not hit and miss. And the guys really embrace it.
They do, yeah. They take it to heart, bless them.
Yeah.
They're very good. They put up with a lot.
You mentioned the tone there, and a lot of people have plenty of experience of, whether it be on Skype calls with candidates or Skype calls with friends or recording themselves on holiday. So people are much more experienced to filming themselves or being filmed by others. But when it comes to being in a professional video, a video where you're doing your job, striking the right tone, can sometimes take a little bit of experimentation from recruiters. What sort of advice would you give to people who are recording videos for the first time in terms of finding that tone for themselves?
I would think practice is really the only thing. Just practice. Now, even if you're just at home filming yourself on your phone for 5-10 minutes, just practice and see what you feel comfortable with. That there will be a lot about lighting and angles and clarity of your voice. Some people prefer to. Most of our guys, they're so comfortable with what they're talking about in terms of job roles when we're doing videos that they don't need a script. But I know that there are people that actually would rather go in prepared with a script. So you just have to find what really works for you. Yeah.
I know that the temptation is often, in the same way as when you write an email, you often sound a lot more officious than you might normally do when you were talking to someone. And again, in a video, sometimes people, they fall into a way of speaking that seems not entirely themselves. So being able to practice allows you to relax into it. And
I think one of the things for us as well, we were talking about this earlier, is that we didn't want to do kind of corporate talking head videos. We wanted to make it, PIE is very relaxed, it's fun, it's friendly, and that's how we get them to do the videos as well. So it is a bit more relaxing for them in doing it. It doesn't feel as pressurized, I don't think.
So the recruiters are recording themselves. Are they recording literally themselves, or is there someone else in the room? And who goes through the technical process of editing the videos that are made?
That would be me. I'll film the videos, I edit the videos. We'll kind of, like I said, I don't give them a script because I'm confident in what they're saying. They're comfortable. It's my process. So I'll film them. I'll tell them if we need to do a reshoot. I'll go through it with them, make sure they're happy with it before it goes out as well. And can I ask, because people always ask, what kind of kit do you use and software for editing? So in the filming, what kind of equipment would you have to hand? Is it particularly expensive? So we have a Canon camera, which I know isn't the cheapest of cameras. But we also have a GoPro that we use as well. You guys have kind of gone all out with camera. We've got a green screen, a tripod.
We don't use a lot of this stuff a lot of the time, to be honest with you. We sort of get excited, we'll buy something. It's like, it might get used once and then it'll go away for a little while before we think of something else to do with it. But it's nice to have options for different ways that we can film things. And a lot of our early stuff was just done on an iPhone, to be honest with you. All of the early PIE videos were just purely filmed on iPhones. And
of course on iPhones, if you can record 4K video on iPhones, then it does mean that people literally have the kit in their pocket. But in addition to that, I would always say, for example, if you can have a good tripod with a light, then that really helps to have a steady position where the camera is looking at you. And even as simple as can be, I'll just change the screen a little bit here. This little thing here with with the tripod, you can have a phone on this and get really good steady shots. So the use of the right support for your camera can often be just as important as the actual camera itself. And you mentioned earlier on about lighting. Do you have additional lighting, or do you have nice natural lighting in a What do you have?
I use natural lighting. At the moment, we're quite lucky. I think it might be the time of year that we're quite lucky in that we've, it's a really bright, airy office as well. So
we've got windows the entire way around, so the natural lighting here is very good. In the winter, I think it's going to be a little bit different, but we do have some additional lighting as well that we purchased a little while ago. So we have brought that out for various bits and pieces that we filmed previously.
For anyone watching in Glasgow right now, it's
really,
sorry. The rain's been chucking down and it's pretty gloomy outside. So I'll just flip around. I have a little light here. I've got a bigger light up there, and I've got another light just here. So these things really help to make sure that if natural light is letting you down, then one way or another, you're not looking like you're in a cave somewhere. And it really helps to have something like this to make sure the audio is just right. again, on using smartphones or even GoPros, then you would have to make sure that the audio is right. If you're using a GoPro, do you use a separate audio recorder?
Yeah, I do have a separate microphone that can go with it. But we went on an away day last week. And because it was just kind of our, this is who we are personality video, we actually just put music over it. So we didn't use the sound for that. But if we were to use it, say, to film a job slide, we'd definitely be using the additional sound equipment.
Lee on the side has just asked, what would you say is more important, audio or video quality? And how do you make sure that you have that as good as possible?
Ooh, that's one for you, Jenna. That's technical.
Yeah, it's a tough one, really, because they are both important. It kind of depends on, I guess, what the purpose is of your video. What is it you're trying to get across? Yeah. If it's that you're talking about a job, then your audio is going to be the most important thing. People will understand that quality with video isn't always perfect. That is technology. It happens. Yeah. So I think it does depend on what the purpose of your video is.
Yeah. What I can say from my experience of running events, the people at TED Talks and so on, they give very handy guides on how to film events, and they stress that the video quality, it's important to have that as good as you can, but do not put any video out if the audio is of a low grade. If people can't hear what you're saying, or if the sound is muddy in any way, then it makes the video seem a lot worse than it is. So you can get away with the video being a little off quality, but the audio has to be at the very least legible. Legible is not the right word. Audible. So who decides what gets released when videos are recorded? Who gives it the thumbs up to put it out there on your YouTube channel?
It's kind of a joint decision, really, I guess. I mean, if Jenna's made the video, then I'm quite happy for it to go out. However, that said, we generally speaking, she'll run it past me, she'll run it past Bill.
Yeah, we're very collaborative.
Absolutely. We'll all be, okay, that's brilliant, let's go. Yeah.
Because you're filming in the first place, then it's all going through you anyway, Jenna. So you're making sure that the quality is up to standard and it's on brand and so on.
Yeah, exactly.
And everything is representing the company properly. Whereas if the recruiters were putting out videos, then they might cut the odd corner.
Yeah, we definitely want some quality control before letting those go out willy-nilly, as it were.
It's actually one of our biggest values, that we don't cut corners.
Yeah.
So how would you say that you measure success? How do you know if a video has worked for you? Is it just down to, was that job filled, or are there any other pointers that you look for to say this video has worked well for us?
I think there's multiple points here, really, I guess. So firstly, obviously, engagement levels that you get across social media, that's all fine and that's all well and good. Jenna, I think you made the point earlier on, it's about people actually sharing the videos as well. If people like it enough to actually want to share it. So that's another sort of important touch point. I can think of a job video we did recently, which was for a brewery. Mm-hmm. We filmed in the back garden of a pub in Amersham, which made the consultant very happy, as I'm sure you can imagine. Yeah. And we had, after that, it had great engagement levels, but more importantly, we had, I can remember, at least 3 or 4 people calling into the office off the back of that, tell me more about that particular role. So it's ultimately, it has to be about getting the ROI on it.
Yeah, I remember that video, and it looked like one of these picture perfect pubs. With the
that's just Amersham for you.
And so you see a video like that and you think, oh, do you know, I'm gasping for a pint.
Yeah, we all felt like that.
So last question on this, and I know I've been giving you a bit of a grilling. If you were to pick out any of the PIE videos over the past while that really stands out for you, that you would say it kind of defines you, or you'd be happy for people to see it and think, yeah, that's PIE. What would it be? What would be your favorite video?
I got to pick this one. So we, not last Christmas, the Christmas before last, we decided to do our first kind of Christmas video, as it were. We've done subsequent ones as well, but we did the 12 days of PIE. And so each day we released the next section, and then it kind of sort of built up to the full video at 12 days. And it was just really fun. It was really silly. It's all on YouTube, so anyone can go and have a little look. It's broken down. You've got the individual days and then the full thing as well.
Well, I've got the snippet of that video here. I'm gonna play it here on my shared screen. It's only 12 seconds, so I think we can squeeze it in.
Okay, so I don't know which day this is, but
let's just, well, it says day one, so let's see how that looks.
Aha!
it makes me laugh.
There you go. Yeah, you can't go wrong. And again, it's obviously it's a Christmas video. It's the right time of year for it. When you can be topical with the content that you're putting out there, then it's a great way of being current with the content you're putting out and making sure that you're reflecting, what's going on in the office to the people who are going to be watching your videos. And it needn't be for a specific job. It needn't be for anything other than, you're being topical, you're being up to date, and people know this is regular, continual output. So you had the 12 videos coming out in succession, the 12 days of PIE. And without going to the video, what happened on the 12th day?
Oh, do you know what? I can't remember. I really can't. It was Jenna, it's before Jenna's time. But there was all sorts of things. There were people doing the splits. There were, I think there were 7 swans singing in the pub. There was lots and lots of stuff going on in there. It was a lot of fun to do. A real lot of fun to do.
Yeah.
So.
And again, all reflecting the personality or the culture of the company.
Yeah, absolutely. And that was the entire point of it. It was about showcasing PIE as a brand, as a business. And actually, we're really nice people, and it would be fun to come and work for us.
Fantastic. Well, thank you very much for answering those. So as I mentioned at the start, there's a couple of components that we're going to be talking about in the show today. Obviously, PIE we'll focus on heavily there. If you can stay with us, ladies, there's a couple of other things that we're going to go to, which is, before I get to our favorite videos of the week, I last week was at RecFest. Now I know, so unfortunately, you girls weren't there last week. I'm sure you heard about RecFest. It was really quite an event. It was 3,000 in-house recruiters and HR people in a farm, or a city farm, at Mudshoot Farm on the Isle of Dogs. Now, when you say that initially, you think, well, that's A, that sounds nuts. B, that sounds not possible. I'm not sure I believe you. And C, are they mad? But of course, the people at RecFest have been building up to this is their 6th year, and each year's been pretty much double the year in the number of attendees from before. So last year, I think it was 1,500. This year, 3,000. And so I was there, and it was a scorching, gorgeous day. I'm sure they must have had lots of plans for just in case the weather went south on them. But at the same time, the video was a huge component of what was going on in the day. So there were 5 big tops, effectively like circus big tops, and I think each of them held about 500 people each. And every talk was filmed. They had 100 speakers. They had a bar in every big top as well, which always helps. So I was there, and I took some snippets of video and made a kind of a collage video at the end of the day. Now I won't put the whole video on, but I'll just if I can just share my screen again. I'll go to a snippet of that. What they also had while I'm changing around doing this, if you can see, come on screen. I'll turn the audio down in this actually. So when filming this, I'll jump to the middle there. When filming this, what I tried to do was to get some drone shots, some B-roll, some walking around with a gimbal that I have, one of those Osmo 2 gimbals, and maybe chatting to a couple of people along the way. But the idea was to give that flavour of the event that the people. There's Matt Alder there with his chili. To give a flavour of the event, seeing as we're talking about chili, and anyone who didn't get to go there could get an idea of what it was like to be amongst the audience there. So what I was trying to do was to pass on that. Either you were there, you maybe caught yourself on the video, or if you weren't there, maybe think, well, I could definitely go to next year. So whenever I've been involved in either organising or speaking at events and so on, then the use of video on the day is great, but after the event is a great vehicle for encouraging people to come to the next event that comes along, and again showing the thousands of people that were there on the day. So in terms of events, I know you've had your away day last week. What do you think, and what do you do in terms of trying to record those kinds of events in a way that would work well for you as an organisation?
So our away day was at Thorpe Park, so it kind of set the tone for everyone behaving like big kids anyway, which is great as a videographer because everyone's in a good mood and everyone's having fun. Yeah. So I just took the GoPro along and followed people around all day, really. And for most of it, if you watch the video, it's on our YouTube channel. For most of it, most people are blissfully unaware that I'm filming them. And then when they do realize, they're actually engaging with the camera. But for me, it's a really nice snapshot of who I are, what we're like as a team, what we're like as individuals. Yeah. And it's really easy to film and edit. Then you can go away, go through it, slice and dice, and produce something that looks really clean and slick. So it was very, very much an exciting first video, I would say.
It totally encapsulates the day as well. It's absolutely brilliant. You look at it and it just makes you smile and go, oh, look, that was so much fun.
Fantastic. So, am I correct in thinking that you, with regard to audio, you had an audio track going over as opposed to catching the audio throughout the day with...
because it was an event and it's not somewhere where anyone's really talking about work. It's just people relaxed, having fun. I thought, let's make it fast-paced. We'll put some music over it. I just think it's a bit more interesting to have kind of, it gives it that more, we're all about being full of beans, and that, having that soundtrack over that video really delivers that. Yeah.
So moving on from RecFest to our videos of the week. There was a video that I saw earlier this week. I'll just, it wasn't shared on YouTube, but I made a point of uploading it to my YouTube channel. Oh, let me just make this a bit bigger here. I put it on my YouTube channel because it'd been shared on LinkedIn by a guy who owns a tailor shop. And in the tailor shop, one of his regular customers is Eamon Holmes. And what it does for me, it shows how you can have a really authentic, genuine, and kind of funny video that really gets across a message in a way that's spontaneous, that has a bit of humor about it. I won't show all of this, but it starts essentially with Eamon Holmes, famous from the telly, on the street, talking about Schuster and Hicks, the tailoring company where he gets his suits done. And literally he was in the shop and they were talking about they should record a video, and he said, well, let's go and do one now. So they went outside and started this process of talking about his association with the shop and so on. And again, it's a vertical video. So I'll just pause there. People often say to me, should I go for vertical or landscape videos? What's the best? And whenever you see news reports on TV and someone has captured, an incident for the news, and they've always got their camera holding like this, and you think, oh God, turn it around, turn the camera around. But when you're doing it on the fly, then people forget that when you're watching it on any other screen, it can really help to have either widescreen, or much more common nowadays is having square videos. Square videos are, you would see them much more on Instagram and Facebook and so on. Have you any experience using square videos?
Yes, so we use those for Instagram as well. Perfect.
And what kind of improvement does it mean for you when you're sharing on Instagram?
For me, it's all about the kind of the look and the feel. We have a very consistent and strong look and feel. And I think when you go onto our Instagram page, what I don't want to see is blank spaces and it looking messy and untidy and unprofessional. So, that's the win there for me.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'll just shoot towards the end of this video here. Again, he's obviously doing this as an endorsement. It needn't be a celebrity that was doing this. It could be any customer at all that came and did this for this shop. And you might think, well, how can that be relevant to me as a company in recruitment? This is clearly not a recruitment video, and I would agree entirely. It's not a recruitment video, but it's a great way of showing how, as soon as you think of something that you want to do, as soon as you think of content that you want to get out there, you can literally deal with what's in front of you, and within the space of 20 minutes, an hour, you've got content that you can put out. It's spontaneous, it works, and so long as it represents your brand well, then you shouldn't have to hesitate too much in getting it out there. And the more you do it, the more you become comfortable with it. Are there any videos that you've thought of and created in a very short space of time that have gone really well? You think, oh, I'm really glad we did that.
I mean, a lot of our videos, they don't take long to do because we don't script them and things like that. So the consultants will come down, they'll rave about a particular job or whatever it happens to be, go away, that's it, and it's published again. It's published sort of within a couple of hours. So it's not generally speaking a lengthy process for us.
Yeah. So whatever you think of in the morning could be out in the afternoon.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, perfect. There's one more video I was going to point to, and again, this is very simple. In fact, it's probably the definition of simple and basic, but a way in which an employer has decided to let candidates know what to expect in the recruitment process and how they prefer candidates to get their information to them. Again, this is 2 minutes long. I won't play the whole video, but in fact, I'll just make this a little larger. Here we go. So on this, and I'll turn the volume down, we have Rebecca from she's a talent acquisition manager with BetEasy, and it's an online betting company in Australia. But essentially, she's given across a very simple message saying, this is what we do, this is how we like to do it. She shares a bit of the personality of the company and the things they like to see. She says they love cover letters. And again, that seems quite old fashioned for an online gaming company. But again, what she's looking for is ways in which the candidate can be sharing more of their personality and why they're interested in this job, rather than just forwarding a CV and expecting the company to work out why they want to be there. So there you go. We love cover letters. So all of these things really help to prepare a candidate before they're thinking of even applying, and once they've applied, what to expect in the recruitment process. So they're not thinking my CV's in a black hole. They're not thinking, well, I've not had any response, or what's going to happen next. And it means that they're more engaged as candidates, and as they go through the process, it follows the same guidelines that have been shown in this video here. So again, without being fancy in any way whatsoever, it's just a straightforward explanation video. And when companies are thinking about starting video for the first time and thinking, well, what would be my first video? What's the first video I'm going to put out there? Then one of the things that you can do is a day in the life. B, what's it like to work in an organization, and C, candidates who are applying. This is our process. This is what would happen when you apply to us. So it's a great way of taking down that barrier, of making yourself much more approachable as an employer, and also in engaging with candidates in a way that maybe they've not experienced before. Would you agree with that? And is that one of the things you try and do with your videos?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I would say so. That video it's great. It doesn't have a huge amount of personality to it necessarily, but it does get their point across very clearly. Sort of, this is what we're looking for. It explains to the candidate precisely what they're going to need to do to get a successful application. And yeah, I definitely think that there's ways in which we can do the same thing.
Fantastic. I've got a question on the side again here from Lee. If you were going to record on a mobile, what would be your favorite apps to use? What apps are there on mobile that you would use? I think on Apple phones, then obviously iMovie is one of them. I would clearly, commercially, I would point to Video My Job. But of the apps that are otherwise available for general filming, what would you point to in terms of quality of recording and flexibility of editing?
I actually don't use any apps for recording. So if I'm not using my camera or my GoPro and I am using a phone, I will just record with the phone. The smartphone cameras are really great. I use Premiere Pro to edit my videos. But I know obviously that's not affordable for everyone. So there are free apps out there. But yeah, that's what I would use.
Okay. As an expert, I'm going to ask you, Jenna, if I record something just using the built-in recorder on my iPhone, or the Android device. Androids are easier, but what's the most effective, efficient way of getting a large video file from your phone to your PC if you were going to then edit it on any other software?
I use WeTransfer. It's a really quick and easy app you can have on your phone, and it sends large and huge quantities of data and files kind of immediately. So that's my go-to. Otherwise, if I'm sharing it amongst the team, AirDrop. If you're using an iPhone, and you don't lose any quality with that, so that's really great. So yeah, they're probably my go-tos.
Okay, so AirDrop between Apple devices.
Yes. Yeah.
And WeTransfer, you can transfer from your phone to
so they have a website you can use, but they also have an app for iPhones and for Androids, and you can just drag and drop your files into that and transfer it.
So if you were looking to get a video file or images into your iPhone, if you transfer with WeTransfer, you can download with that and save it to your gallery?
Yes.
Perfect.
One of the things I would advise anyone starting out, especially depending on what equipment you're using in terms of your laptop, it's one of the things we uncovered is that video files are big. They take up a lot of space. Invest in a hard drive is one of the things I would say is a top tip. Invest in somewhere where you can externally save your videos.
Absolutely. And in fact, you just mentioned something. I just last week bought myself a new
Brilliant.
terabyte hard drive. I think it's a 2 terabyte actually. But yeah, you tend to save a lot of content. And if you are doing it on your phones, then people often find that they're running out of space because they've got all their music on there, all the photographs on there, all their family videos, and getting whatever you've recorded off your phone fairly quickly is important. So once you've done whatever you need to do with it, then clear the space. We transfer it to somewhere else, so you've got it stored somewhere else, whether it be in the cloud or on some other hard drive, and then you can clear the space that's on your phone. So we've just noticed the time there. We've gone over. We're supposed to be 30 minutes. We're up to 36 minutes. Can I say it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you very much for joining us. Jen.
Thanks for having us. Really appreciate it.
Excellent, fantastic. So next week's show, we are going to be talking about, let me just adjust this here. We're going to be talking about more topics to do with moving on from getting ready to record videos and deploy video for your organization, whether it be agencies or employers. And we'll be getting into more topics to do with how those videos can affect your bottom line and how they can affect the departments that you're serving as recruiters and HR people. So in the meantime, thank you very much for joining us, Sarah and Jenna. Thank you very much, everyone who's joined us online live today, and anyone who's watching the replay. And please join us again next week, 4 p.m. Thursday, GMT, but whatever that time is where you are. And I look forward to seeing you then. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Bye. Cheers.
Bye-bye.